Greetings in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, Melech of Yasharal, Kahan forever, according to the order of Melchizedek. All esteem, honor, and glory unto our Alua, Yahuwah. This is Melech Shalama Trading. Today is the 4th of August, 2025. It's 1:21 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to break down here some Black Sun strategies. I took some short trades off of a Wyckoff distribution around Camarilla R4. And before we get into that, I'm going to go over to Bookmap for the details. But on the higher time frame, which is my 4-hour trade and view chart you're seeing right now, I'm just going to point out what I was looking at from the higher time frame perspective to kind of have confluence on the lower time frame for the distribution that I was looking for, right? So basically we already distributed from this level here. We had a phase E markdown, right? So I have all these labels up here: Upthrust, buying climax, that's the automatic reaction. That was a sign of weakness right there. We had the Upthrust, phase E breakdown. And while we were having the phase E breakdown, we had multiple LPSYs, right? So those are the lower points of supply, right? So what I was looking at was basically it's a market profile single print, and that's going to populate right now. So that fuchsia right there, that's the single print I was looking at for price to retrace and come back to this level to fill this this last week's single print, right? So as you see, price did come back to that level. So as we came down to this in phase E, as we came down here, right, we're having buyers. So this is a prior level, a spring level from the reaccumulation, which went up to B distribution and coming back now down to test the spring, right, at 62.41. So I was looking for price action to retrace and retest some of these LPSYs today at the beginning of the session for the week, right? So that's basically the higher time frame perspective I was looking at. And now we're gonna go to the Bookmap chart, right? So in the ETH open, first I'm going to point out here in the Black Sun strategy, we're looking for retracements at Camarilla R4 or Camarilla R3. So Camarilla R4 is the pivot we're looking at, right? So that's the pivot that we want to see a developing Wyckoff distribution, right? So you can see here I have labeled the Upthrust, the UTAD, the buying climax, and the automatic reaction. Now these are weekly Camarilla levels, weekly Camarilla R3, and that's actually weekly central pivot, right? So that's another resistance level that we're looking at. These are the single print levels between these levels here at 63.3750 and 63.45. So that's the single print retracement we're looking to get into to basically fill out this single print, right? So we open, we push off right off the open, heavy buying volume. We push up into liquidity, right? VPOC migrates up to this level here at 63.1975. Buyers take it up again. As you can see, let me just open this. We're pushing through liquidity on the offer, right? So we're taking out liquidity on the offer, heavy buying volume, pushing up, right? Right, so we get to this level here. We find our sellers up here. We hit the liquidity on the offer. Sellers start to come in play. We create the buying climax here, heavy buying volume, right? No follow through, sellers start to take control. We pull back here to 63.2550 for the automatic reaction. Liquidity steps in on the bid, supports price. This is first upper deviation, that dashed green line right there. This is VWAP. and this is VPOC, right? Let me use the arrows. So solid green line VWAP, solid light blue line right there, that's VPOC. That's first upper deviation, second upper deviation, 2.5, and 3.0, right? So we pull back, create the automatic reaction here above this liquidity on the bid, right? So we start pushing up again. Some buying volume comes in, right? We get a little small pullback. Hold on, let me just bring this into perspective. Right, so we get a little retracement here. This is my buying climax level. Decent volume, no follow through. We pull back here. Right, not my buying climax, sorry. This is just a small retracement. And then we push up to create our upthrust, right? So we have heavy volume pushing in. 543 buy stops, 78. We have 89 iceberg sellers. So I take my first trade entry right here, and I got stopped out. So one thing I've made an adjustment here is that I realized, let me go back to 3 points on the stop instead of 1.5 points, right? Because if I did 3 points, this trade would have stayed in play, and I would have gotten this breakdown right here. So after the stop out, right? So 137 buy stops, re-entered the trade. Now we're entering on buying exhaustion. To me, buying exhaustion is when we have big buyers that can't push through liquidity, right? So basically absorption or exhaustion. So usually exhaustion is where we don't really have the liquidity absorbing the buyers. So let's just consider this absorption from the sellers, right? So this is selling absorption or buying absorption, sorry. So the buyers get absorbed, hit the short right here, right? We start a breakdown. Let's see, let's go across. Right, so I get my first partial here at 63.31.25. My trailing stop starts moving down, right? So you see my trailing stop to break even. Then we trail to this level. Price comes above first upper deviation. My trailing stop takes me out, right? So I'm in profit so far, right? Reclaim that little loss right there. Then I take another short here. We're running, buyers get absorbed by this offer again. You see no continuation. Iceberg sellers, buy stops, heavy volume. Take the short here again. Small little retracement. Kind of rotates. VPOC migrates up to this level here into price action. So I'm looking for price to break down. So it showed initial signs of breaking down, right? 103 stops coming out. Then it kind of dried up to 3 stops. We had buyers start to come in. When they aggressively push up like this, just above my entry, I just manually stopped out right there. But again, the trade setup sets up again, creates a UTAD above the upthrust. So this was the upthrust right here, right? Creates a UTAD. You see buying exhaustion, right? Right there. Let me just open that up a little bit. Right, so there's the buyers getting absorbed on the offer. Then there's exhaustion, right? Small buyers, heavy volume. Take the short here again. Resistance on the bid. I mean on the offer. We have iceberg sellers in play. Small rotation right there. Heavy selling coming in. Breaks down VPOC. That's VPOC right there again. We break down VPOC with heavy volume. Let's pull this into perspective. Right, so we rotate back up to VPOC, just above VPOC. Iceberg sellers again. Not so much heavy. The volume isn't that heavy here now on the breakdown. Get the first partial. Sellers start getting absorbed. or getting exhausted right here. No more sellers. Starts to retrace. Trailing stop takes me out, right? So that's basically the trades I took today, and that's the profit on the day right there. So basically on the first trade I could have secured more profit because my stop was a little too tight. So when I get stopped out is because just of a little fluctuation in price, right? So I'm gonna expand my stop now to 3 points and maintain that, right? So my first partial is basically 8 points into profit, and that's set, right? So through my execution pro, let me just go over here, show you the execution pro.
Boom. Sweep NQ sellers.
No, I mean the multi brackets, my bad. So that's my setup right there. 12 ticks, first partial 32, second partial 48, and third partial is 64, right? So that's how my brackets are plotted on when I take the trade, right? So yeah, that's the Black Sun strategy. Let me just open this up a little bit. Right. Yeah. Right. So that's the distribution structure that I took these short trades, got these partials here and here, right? And took the first stop out right there. And this was another stop out I took right here. Well, no, not a stop out. This was the stop out right here from this trade. Right. All right, y'all. So it's Malek Shalama Trading, Black Sun Strategy, Wyckoff Distribution at Camarilla R4, higher time frame single prints from the TPO. And yeah, that's it. All right, y'all. Trade safe and stay blessed.